Have you ever been scrolling online and suddenly some new idea or product is just everywhere? It feels like it came out of nowhere, right? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on how that actually happens. We're diving into a really sharp research paper called Manipulation Markets, and it lays out the hidden playbook used by governments, huge corporations, and even influencers to literally engineer what we see and believe.
Okay, so let's start with a few numbers that seem totally random. First up, 157. That's how many fake social media accounts were part of a single, state-run network designed to push a specific message. Just tuck that number away for a second.
Next number, $7.64 million. That is a staggering amount of money, and it's what just one tech giant spent in a single quarter, 3 months, trying to influence politicians and policy.
In our last number, $61,000. That was the secret payday for a social media influencer for posting just one time about a new cryptocurrency. So, you've got a state-run botnet, a massive corporate PR campaign, and a quiet crypto deal. I mean, these feel like they're from completely different planets, don't they? But what if I told you they aren't different stories at all? Turns out, they're all just different chapters from the exact same playbook. All right, let's zoom in on these 3 stories. It's time to connect the dots and see what was really going on behind those numbers. So first, you have that network of 157 fake accounts linked to China. Their goal wasn't to argue with people one-on-one. Nope. It was to create this illusion of a huge crowd, to make it seem like their ideas were already super popular. Then you have Meta spending millions to lobby against new rules, while at the exact same time, they're running these big, glossy ad campaigns all about teen safety. And finally, that crypto influencer who casually drops a tip about a new coin, and what do you know, gets a $60,000 payment just hours later. We're talking about 3 totally different goals here: political, corporate, and financial, but they're all leaning on the same fundamental tactics. And this is the key. None of this is accidental. There is absolutely a method to the madness. The research paper breaks it all down into 3 key plays that make up this modern manipulation playbook.
The first play is called legitimacy mimicry. You can basically think of this as fake it till you make it, but on a massive scale. It's all about manufacturing the appearance of authority or popular support. It's like putting on a play where just a handful of actors use fake accounts and official-sounding language to create the illusion of a giant cheering crowd.
And boom, that perfectly explains our first case. Those 157 accounts, they were an echo chamber. They'd post, then comment on their own posts, and reply to each other. The whole point wasn't to convince you directly, it was to make you look around and think, wow, it seems like everybody else already believes this.
Okay, play number 2 is legitimacy laundering. This one is a corporate favorite. It's a kind of magic trick where you take a purely self-interested goal, like, say, fighting regulations that might hurt your profits, and you wrap it up in the language of public service and doing good. It's a classic misdirection. Hey, look over here at this beautiful PR campaign, and please don't pay attention to the millions we're spending to influence politicians.
And this ad slogan from Meta is a textbook example. You see these warm, fuzzy ads with parents and their kids, and the message is, "We're on your team. We're partners in safety." It's brilliant because it completely reframes the conversation away from the company's own responsibility and puts the focus right back on the user.
And check out the timing. While the public is seeing all those feel-good family ads, this is what's happening behind closed doors. Millions and millions of dollars are flowing to shape the actual laws. So you see one story on your screen, but the real power is being bought with this money right here.
And the third play in the book is one I guarantee you've seen, probably without even realizing it. It's called undisclosed endorsement. This is where a paid ad is disguised to look and feel like a genuine personal recommendation from someone you trust. It just completely blurs that line between an honest opinion and a paid sales pitch.
And this timeline is just wild. It shows you how fast this stuff happens. In the afternoon, the influencer tweets about this hot new coin. No hashtag ad tag, of course. Just 30 minutes later, a professional-looking analysis article pops up online, making the whole thing feel more legit. Then less than 10 hours after the first post, bam, a payment of over 60 grand hits their crypto wallet. It's a perfectly coordinated campaign designed to look totally random.
So when you lay it all out like this, the pattern just jumps out at you, right? You've got legitimacy mimicry with its fake accounts, you've got legitimacy laundering with its perfectly timed PR blitzes, and undisclosed endorsements with those missing hashtag ad tags. But here's the cool part. For every tactic, there are signals we can learn to spot and even potential ways to counter them.
So you have to ask, why is all of this happening now and on such a huge scale? Well, the answer is that our online world has created an entirely new kind of economy, a market where belief itself is the final product being bought and sold.
The paper gives us a name, attention arbitrage, and it's a really powerful idea. It basically says you can invest money to build and spread a story, any story, to get a specific return. That return could be a new law getting passed or a stock price shooting up. In this model, your attention is the raw material, and these players are just trading it for profit.
And this, right here, is the crucial takeaway. In this new market for belief, it doesn't really matter if a story is true or false. It doesn't matter if it's propaganda or a marketing campaign. The only metric that counts is, did it work? Did it get engagement and deliver a return on that narrative investment?
Okay, I know this all sounds pretty dark, but the good news is the paper doesn't just leave us with the problem. It actually offers up some very smart, concrete solutions for how we can start to fight back and reinforce reality. And the big idea connecting all these solutions is radical transparency. Just imagine, what if every single piece of sponsored content had a digital label that showed you exactly who paid for it? Or what if you could click a button and see how a company's ad spending lines up with its lobbying reports? All of these steps are designed to drag manipulation out into the sunlight, because once you can see it, it becomes a lot less profitable. So, we've seen the cases, we've walked through the playbook, and we've looked at the fixes. But what does it all mean for you, personally, every single time you pick up your phone and start to scroll?
This line from the paper just says it all. This kind of manipulation isn't some bug or a weird glitch in the system. It is the system, working exactly as it's been designed, optimized to capture our attention and turn it into an asset for someone else. The very algorithms that run our feeds are built to reward whatever goes viral, and that now includes what's engineered to be fake.
But look, once you understand this playbook, the game changes. You stop being just a passive target and you become an active, critical observer. You can start to see the strings. And that leaves us with one final big question to think about. In a market that's literally designed to sell you belief, what is your attention really worth?
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into something pretty complex. It's not just fake news or, basic censorship we're talking about.
No, not at all.
We're really taking a scalpel to how information works now, and maybe more importantly, how trust itself is being, manufactured and essentially sold.
Yeah, manufactured is the right word. The sources we've got, especially this foundational paper manipulation markets, they argue that modern influence isn't crude anymore. It's sophisticated, like a performance.
A performance? How so?
Well, the paper calls it choreography. High-level, synchronized choreography.
Okay, choreography, I like that.
Yeah.
So the core idea then is that trust isn't just something you earn anymore. It's become a commodity.
Exactly. That's the really sobering takeaway here. Trust is now a tradable asset in this whole information ecosystem. And, the scary part, the methods used to manipulate that trust, they're converging.
Converging.
Meaning, whether it's a foreign government, a big corporation, or even just one influencer trying to pump a crypto coin, they're often using fundamentally similar techniques.
Right. Okay, let's break that down. The source material, it uses this receipts-first approach, right? Focusing on solid proof.
Yes, A-grade documentation, things you can verify. And it isolates three main mechanisms of manipulation. They have different goals: political, regulatory, financial, but the structure is converging.
Okay, what are the three?
So first, there's the one we hear about a lot, but maybe with new twists: foreign state-linked coordinated inauthentic behavior, CIB. Basically, states trying to shape opinion abroad.
Got it. Number two.
That brings it closer to home.
Yep.
Domestic corporate astroturfing and lobbying. This is companies trying to influence policy or public opinion, usually, for profit or to avoid regulation.
Chapter turfing, so faking grassroots support.
Precisely. And the third one, this is maybe the most digitally native: creator economy payola cycles. Think influencers getting paid under the table to promote stuff, especially risky financial products.
Payola, like the old radio scandal, but for influencers.
Kind of, yeah. And all three, this is the key, they all exploit the same weaknesses in the system. How algorithms decide what we see, that sort of weird trust we put in online personalities, parasocial trust, and the way engagement itself is monetized.
So they're all hacking the same architecture, different players, same playbook, basically.
That's the core thesis. Motives differ, structure converges. It's a really crucial insight from the source material.
And you mentioned the proof, the receipts.
Yeah.
Where does this data come from?
It's strong stuff. The source prioritizes what it calls A1 documentation. Government filings, corporate reports, things like Senate lobbying disclosures that have to be public, and A2 docs, the platform's own transparency reports about what they're taking down.
So we're using the manipulator's own paper trails, in a way.
Knowingly or unknowingly, yes. It's verifiable, measurable data.
Okay, so our mission for you, the listener, is to give you a shortcut to help you see past the surface level of your feeds. By the end of this, you should be able to spot these tactics, what the source calls mimicry, laundering, and endorsement, out in the wild.
Yeah, to become a much more informed observer of this engineered landscape.
All right, let's jump in. Where do we start? Mechanism 1.
Let's do it. Mechanism 1, foreign CIB, the art of legitimacy mimicry.
Okay, foreign CIB. We're looking at the platform's own reports here, like what Meta and TikTok are saying.
Exactly. Specifically, Meta's adversarial threat report from early 2025 and TikTok's EU Code of Practice report from the first half of 2025. These aren't guesses. This is the platforms documenting what they're finding and removing.
And what are they finding? Are these CIB operations still a big deal?
Oh, definitely. Foreign actors are still very active. But the interesting thing, maybe the shift, is it's less about just flooding the zone with thousands of fake accounts. It's becoming more precise, more about quality over quantity.
Trying to look real, not just numerous.
Exactly. They're trying to mimic legitimacy.
The source highlighted a specific example, didn't it? A China origin network.
It did. And what's fascinating is the amount of effort involved for, frankly, minimal actual reach. The Meta report detailed the infrastructure. 157 Facebook accounts, 19 pages, 1 group, and 17 Instagram accounts.
That's a lot of fake people to manage.
It's a significant investment just to build the stage, yeah. And the targets were specific. Myanmar, Taiwan, Japan, geopolitically sensitive areas, obviously.
But what were they actually doing with all those accounts, if the reach was minimal?
This is the interesting tactic. They use what the platforms call self-commenting behavior.
Self-commenting, so they talk to themselves.
Pretty much. An operator posts something from one account, and then immediately other accounts from the same controlled network jump in to like it, share it, and crucially comment on it. Sometimes even having little fake conversations in the comment thread.
Ah, okay. So if you're just scrolling by, or maybe if you're an algorithm, you see a post go up and bang, suddenly it has 15 likes, 10 shares, 20 comments. It looks like it's taking off.
Exactly. It simulates organic popularity. It's like seeding a crowd with people paid to clap, you know?
And
manufacturing the appearance of traction.
But you said the actual organic reach was minimal.
Right. Meta explicitly noted that minimal organic traction, which begs the question, why go to all that trouble? Why build 157 accounts and orchestrate these fake conversations if real people aren't really seeing it or engaging?
Yeah, what's the point then? If you're not convincing millions, what are you doing?
The point, according to the analysis, is legitimacy mimicry.
Okay, explain that.
It's about manufacturing the perception of consensus or authority, even if it's hollow. They might not be trying to fool everyday users directly. Instead, they might be trying to fool the platform's own algorithms into boosting the content.
Because it looks popular initially.
Right. Or maybe they're trying to fool journalists, researchers, or policymakers who might be monitoring certain topics. If someone important glances at the post and sees what looks like robust, rapid engagement, it gives the content a temporary cloak of authority. It seems like a real discussion is happening.
So it's about passing an initial smell test, making it look credible enough to survive the first few seconds or minutes online, potentially tricking automated systems or busy humans?
Precisely. It's an investment in the veneer of credibility. If it looks legit, maybe it gets past the first wave of spam filters. It games the signals the platform uses to determine what's important or authoritative.
Okay, that makes sense. It's a different kind of goal. What about the platforms fighting back? You mentioned the TikTok report.
Yeah, the TikTok EU report gives us a glimpse into the defense side. They're clearly aware of these mimicry tactics and are shifting towards what the source calls early suppression mechanisms.
Meaning catching it faster.
Much faster. The report mentioned banning around 3,000 accounts for impersonating government officials or political figures. But the really striking number was about content related to civic processes or elections.
Well, why that?
They reported approximately 90% zero-view removals for violations in that category.
90%, zero view removal. So
Yeah.
9 out of 10 pieces of manipulative election content were removed before a single real user saw them.
That's what the report claims, yeah. It's a huge number. It suggests the platforms are getting much better at automated detection, identifying and nuking this stuff the instant it's posted, before it has any chance to mimic legitimacy or gain traction.
So it's an arms race. The manipulators build fake engagement structures, and the platforms build automated demolition crews to tear them down instantly.
That's a good way to put it. An algorithmic arms race focused on the very first moments a piece of content exists online.
Okay, so that's the foreign state playbook. Let's pivot now. Mechanism 2. Domestic AstroTurf financial filings and legitimacy laundering. We're shifting from, like, spy games to corporate lobbying.
Exactly. We move from platform reports on hidden networks to publicly available, legally mandated financial documents filed right here in the U.S., specifically U.S. Senate LD2 filings.
These are the reports where lobbyists have to declare who they're working for and how much they're spending.
That's them. Mandatory quarterly reports. The source material uses these filings from 2024 and early 2025 to show a direct link between massive corporate spending and carefully crafted public narratives. It's a very clear, very expensive feedback loop.
And the numbers. They're pretty big, I take it.
Huge. We're talking millions of dollars per quarter from some of the biggest tech firms. The source highlights Meta Platforms, Inc., peaking at $7.64 million in lobbying spending in just one quarter, Q1 2024.
$7.5 million in 3 months.
And ByteDance, Inc., TikTok's parent company, they hit $2.83 million in Q1 2025. These aren't trivial amounts. This is serious investment in influencing Washington.
And the source connects these spending spikes to specific events.
Yes, and this is crucial. That $7.64 million peak for Meta in Q1 2024, it coincided exactly with intense congressional hearings focused on child safety online, algorithmic harms, potential privacy regulations, basically existential threats to their business model.
Okay, so the heat gets turned up in D.C., potential new rules are on the table that could really hurt their bottom line.
And boom! The lobbying spending skyrockets. It's a direct, measurable response to perceived regulatory risk.
Makes sense. Protect the business. But where does the AstroTurf part come in? The fake grassroots.
It comes in with the other thing that was happening concurrently. While Meta was spending millions lobbying against stricter regulations, they launched a massive, very visible national advertising campaign, the Team Safety Tools campaign. You probably saw the ad.
The ones with a very sentimental feel.
Yeah.
Like parents and kids.
Exactly. The source quotes the tagline, "You've always looked out for them, we're here to do it with you." Very warm, very fuzzy. Presenting themselves as a partner in parenting, a protector of teens.
Wait. So spend millions trying to block laws designed to protect kids, while also spending millions on ads saying, we're here to help protect your kids.
That's the maneuver. And the source defines this specific tactic as legitimacy laundering.
Legitimacy laundering. Okay, unpack that.
It's taking an act of pure corporate self-interest, spending a fortune to influence lawmakers and dodge accountability for potential harms caused by your platform, and wrapping it in the language of public virtue and social responsibility.
So you launder the potentially unpopular act of lobbying by pairing it with a very popular-sounding message of safety and family values.
Precisely. You create this public image of being a family ally while simultaneously working behind the scenes with that huge lobbying budget to prevent regulations that might actually force changes to make the platform safer.
That's quite the PR Juno move, isn't it? Using the very issue you're being criticized for as the basis for your feel-good advertising.
It's incredibly effective. The lobbying filing, the A1 receipt, shows the self-protection motive. The ad campaign provides the public narrative cover. It launders the intent.
And the goal is to shift the conversation.
Absolutely. The source argues this creates a measurable AstroTurf feedback loop. Policy risk triggers lobbying spend and paid narrative reinforcement. And the effect is to subtly shift the public discourse.
How so?
Instead of the conversation being about, say, why are these algorithms designed in a way that might harm teens, or should platforms be legally liable, the focus gets nudged
towards the tools, like are parents using the safety settings correctly?
Exactly. It pushes the responsibility down to the individual user, the parent, the teen, and away from the systemic design choices of the platform itself. It becomes about individual vigilance, not corporate accountability.
So the multi-million-dollar lobbying buys them time and policy delay, while the multi-million-dollar ad campaign manages public perception during that delay.
That's the essence of legitimacy laundering. It's an expensive, calculated strategy to displace blame and maintain the status quo, all while appearing to be part of the solution. It's bought and paid for intellectual distraction.
Okay, from state actors mimicking authority to corporations laundering legitimacy. Now we get to the third mechanism. This is the really ground level stuff, right? Creator economy, payola, undisclosed endorsement, and speculative finance.
Yeah, we're shifting down to the individual level now. This is where influencer culture crashes directly into often very high-risk finance. Think crypto, NFTs, meme stocks, that kind of thing.
And the evidence here, the receipts, are pretty explosive from what I gather.
Extremely. The source relies heavily on a major leak from September 2025, an influencer rate sheet. This was reported and verified by outlets like Blockmates and Cybernews. It basically pulled back the curtain on the gray market for financial promotion online.
A rate sheet, like a menu of influencers and their prices.
Exactly. It listed over 160 crypto-focused influencers, and not just their names, their explicit rates to post, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, and crucially, the specific cryptocurrency wallet addresses they used for payment.
Wow, that's specific. What was the most damning part of that leak?
The disclosure rate, or rather the lack of it. Of all those 160-plus influencers listed, the source found that fewer than 5% included any standard disclosure like #aid, #sponsored, or #paid partnership in their promotional posts.
Less than 5%. So 95% of these paid financial promotions were likely presented as genuine advice or opinion.
That's the implication. And that systemic lack of disclosure is what enables this whole mechanism. It allows them to sell belief under false pretenses.
The source zooms in on one particular influencer, right, to make it concrete.
Yes, a Tier 1 influencer, meaning someone with a very large following known online as @80, the leaked rate sheet showed their price.
How much?
Advertised rate, $60,000 per post. $60,000. And the sheet included their specific public Solana wallet address. This is key because blockchain transactions are public and immutable.
Right, unlike an email or a bank statement, you can't fake a blockchain record easily.
Yeah.
So what happened with Atati?
This is where the receipts-first approach really pays off. On September 5th, 2025, this influencer at @Titty posted content promoting a specific, likely speculative cryptocurrency called Zia Coin across their social media channels. And crucially, they did not include the legally required #ad tag or any similar disclosure. So they performed the act of undisclosed endorsement.
And the payment. Did the blockchain confirm it?
It did. The source material cites Solana on-chain transaction data, basically, a digital snapshot of the ledger. Within just 9 hours of that promotional post about Zeta Coin going live, a transfer of 5,000 SOL arrived in the influencer's verified wallet address. At the time, 5,000 SOL was worth approximately $61,000.
Wow. So the payment, matching the advertised rate, landed almost immediately after the undisclosed promotion went up. That's pretty much irrefutable proof of payola, isn't it?
It's about as close as you can get. The timing, the amount, the public wallet address, the lack of disclosure, it connects the dots in a way that's very hard to dispute. The blockchain acts as the perfect, undeniable receipt.
And was this influencer just acting alone, or was there, like, supporting material?
Good question. The promotion didn't exist in a vacuum. The source also noted a contemporaneous article published around the same time with the title like, Zeta Chain Price Prediction 2025, Can Zeta Rally 500%?
Ah, so there was other content pushing the same narrative, providing the hype.
Exactly. It provides the bullish, speculative framing. The influencer's posts might not even need to be that detailed. They can just point towards this seemingly independent analysis that justifies the hype. It makes the paid pump look more like a well-researched tip.
Whether that article was also paid for is another question, I guess.
It is, but the point is the synchronization. So the third tactic is defined as undisclosed endorsement. It's this toxic merger of influencer culture, the trust followers place in these personalities.
That parasocial thing again.
Right. Merging that trust directly with speculative finance, often with assets that have little underlying value.
And the real danger is how it plays with algorithms, right?
Absolutely. An influencer drops an undisclosed ad for Zeta Coin. Followers get excited, maybe pile in FOMO. Fear of missing out is a powerful driver. This creates a spike in engagement, comments, shares,
which the algorithm sees.
which the algorithm interprets as relevance and importance, so it pushes the content out to even more people. It amplifies the investment behavior, potentially fueling a pump and dump cycle, all based on a hidden $60,000 payment disguised as genuine enthusiasm.
So the influencer converts their followers' trust directly into market movement and personal profit, with the algorithm acting as an accelerant.
That's the cycle, exploiting trust in algorithms for profit with zero transparency.
Okay, so we have the three mechanisms laid out: mimicry by states, laundering by corporations, endorsement by influencers. Let's pull back now for the systemic analysis. How do these seemingly different tactics actually connect? What's the common thread?
The really striking thing, when you look at the data across all three, the Meta CIB report, the Senate lobbying filings, the Solana transaction for the influencer, is that they do share a fundamental structure. The source actually compiles this into a kind of tactics playbook, which is super useful for understanding the pattern.
A playbook. Okay,
Yeah.
let's walk through it. What are the observable signals for each tactic, and what are the potential countermeasures?
Yeah.
Starting with legitimacy mimicry.
Right, the state actor playbook. The signals are often technical and visual. You look for things like accounts pretending to be official sources, fake personas, using very uniform branding or visuals across many accounts simultaneously, that rapid self-commenting we talked about.
The fake buzz.
Yeah, and often using pseudo-official language, trying to sound bureaucratic or authoritative. The source mentions these often get flagged under platform rules against impersonating government, political, or public person affiliations, GPPPA bans.
Okay, makes sense. And the countermeasure.
It has to be technical and systemic. Things like mandatory verification audits for accounts claiming official status, and critically implementing provenance overlays on media.
Provenance overlays, like a watermark.
Sort of, but more advanced. Think embedded, verifiable metadata showing the origin and funding of a piece of content instantly visible to the user, making it impossible to hide who made it or paid for it.
Got it. Okay, playbook number 2. Legitimacy laundering. The corporate game. What are the signals there?
Here, the signals are more about timing and narrative and connecting different data sources. The biggest observable signal is that spike in lobbying or ad spending that lines up exactly with a legislative threat or a regulatory hearing.
Cross-referencing the spending with the political calendar.
Exactly. And then looking at the narrative, the sudden rollout of ads using very sentimental, often family-focused imagery or pushing safety tools right when the actual debate is about fundamental platform accountability or algorithmic harm.
The disconnect between the lobbying goal and the public message.
That's the core signal. And the countermeasure proposed is about infrastructural transparency, forcing platforms to cross-index their ad libraries with public lobbying databases.
So you could instantly see, side by side, Company X spent $5 on lobbying against Bill Y, and simultaneously spent $10 on ads claiming to solve the problem Bill Y addresses.
Precisely. It makes the laundering attempt transparent and immediately exposes the conflict of interest to anyone who looks.
Okay. And the third tactic in the playbook, undisclosed endorsement. The influencer payola, signals.
This is primarily about financial concealment and coordination. The most obvious signal is the lack of the hashtag ad or hashtag sponsored tag on posts that are clearly promotional, especially for financial products.
Then you look for the other pieces.
Right. You look for synchronized timing, multiple influencers suddenly pushing the same obscure coin or token. You look for identical or near identical language or talking points across different accounts. And if you have the data, like in the leak, you look for those synchronized wallet transfers right after the posts go live.
Blockchain receipt.
Exactly. And the countermeasures here need to be both regulatory and technological. The source calls for stronger FTC enforcement, but also for platforms to build automated detection systems specifically designed to spot undisclosed financial promotions at scale.
AI to catch the patterns.
Yes. And maybe even more radically, exploring things like mandatory blockchain-based escrow for financial promotions, meaning the influencer doesn't get paid unless the required disclosure is verifiably present in the post.
Interesting. Ties the payment directly to the transparency.
Yeah. So, pulling it all together, what's the unifying economic logic behind mimicry, laundering, and endorsement? The source argues it's attention arbitrage.
Attention arbitrage. Okay, what does that mean?
It means exploiting the difference in cost and value. It's relatively cheap to manufacture a believable narrative, whether you use 150 fake accounts, or a $7 million lobbying spend plus ads, or a $60,000 influencer post. But the return on that manufactured narrative, if it successfully captures attention and shifts belief, can be enormous.
What kind of return?
It could be geopolitical leverage for a state. It could be delaying costly regulation for a corporation worth maybe billions. It could be pumping a worthless tokens price for an influencer, netting them huge profits. They are arbitraging the low cost of creating distortion against the high value of controlling attention.
So in this model, the traditional lines between, say, marketing, PR, and disinformation start to blur.
They dissolve because the primary goal isn't accuracy or truth, it's return on narrative investment. It's about monetizing engagement however you can get it.
And the commodity being traded isn't just clicks or views.
No, it's political legitimacy, it's regulatory delay, it's token price appreciation. Ultimately, they're all governed by the return on investment in shaping belief. They are buying attention to sell a specific outcome. That's the arbitrage.
This analysis that it's all about attention arbitrage, it really points towards needing more than just, playing defense. We need systemic changes, right?
Absolutely. If the core problem is structural, the solutions have to be structural too. You can't just rely on fact checkers or content moderation after the fact to fix a system optimized for distortion.
Which brings us to the policy and platform recommendations in the source material. The big idea here seems to be treating transparency not as like a nice to have, but as essential infrastructure.
Exactly. Think of it like roads or the power grid. A modern, functioning public sphere requires a transparent information infrastructure. It can't be optional or left solely to the goodwill of the platforms. It needs to be mandated, built in.
Okay, let's get specific. What are the key recommendations?
Yeah.
The first one was mandatory provenance metadata.
Right. This goes beyond just the simple hashtag ad tag. The idea is to require all paid or sponsored content, whether it's political ads, corporate messaging, or financial promotions, to embed verifiable data about its origin and funding.
Embedded how?
Technically embedded, like in the file's metadata, in a standardized format. It needs to be machine readable so regulators and researchers can track it at scale, but also easily surface so a regular user can click and see who paid for this, where did it originally come from.
So no more hiding the source.
That's the goal. Make the funding and origin impossible to strip out or obscure. The challenge is getting platforms to agree on and implement a standard, but the impact on accountability would be huge.
Okay, recommendation 2 addresses the corporate legitimacy laundering, cross-domain transparency.
Yeah, this is about connecting the dots automatically. It means legally requiring interoperability between different transparency systems. Specifically, linking the platform's public ad libraries directly to existing public databases for lobbying expenditures, like those Senate LD2 filings we discussed.
So the system itself flags the connection.
Right. Imagine seeing an ad. And with one click, you see not only who paid for the ad, but also how much that same company is spending lobbying on the exact issue the ad is talking about. It makes the potential conflict of interest, the laundering attempt, instantly visible.
Exposes the potential hypocrisy right away. Got it. Third recommendation, disclosure automation. This targets the influencer payola problem.
Yes. Since we know self-disclosure rates are abysmal, especially in areas like crypto, this says platforms can't just rely on influencers following the rules. They must be mandated to build and deploy automated systems, likely using AI to actively detect and label suspected undisclosed promotions in real time.
So the platform flags it even if the influencer doesn't.
Precisely, especially for high-risk stuff like financial promotions. The system should be trained to spot the patterns. The synchronized messaging, the timing, the pumping of specific assets without the hashtag ad tag. It shifts the burden from relying on influencer honesty to proactive platform enforcement.
Okay, fourth point, public research access. Why is this so important?
Because right now, independent researchers, the people best equipped to understand how manipulation campaigns actually work and spread, often have very limited access to the necessary platform data. They only get scraps, or whatever the platforms choose to release.
So they can't see the whole picture.
Exactly. This recommendation calls for enforcing full compliance with data access mandates like those in the EU's Digital Services Act, DSA, for vetted independent researchers and auditors. We need researchers to have access to the raw data on reach, engagement, takedowns, algorithmic amplification, etc., to truly understand the systemic risks and whether regulations are working. Without data access, oversight is basically flying blind.
Makes sense. You can't fix what you can't measure.
Yeah.
And the final recommendation, ethical incentive structures. This sounds different, more about internal changes.
It is. It tackles the root cause, the profit motive that drives attention arbitrage. The idea is to change how success is measured inside the tech companies and within their algorithms by integrating integrity metrics into performance evaluations and compensation. Things like the quality of information promoted, the effectiveness of content moderation, success in reducing harmful content. These should directly impact executive bonuses. And similarly, the algorithms themselves need to have integrity weighted alongside engagement.
So you make fighting manipulation profitable, or at least you make ignoring it costly.
Exactly. Right now, the incentive structure often rewards maximizing engagement at almost any cost, which inadvertently rewards distortion. This aims to realign those incentives, making safety and trustworthiness factors in the core business logic, not just a PR sideline.
Okay, let's try to bring all of this together. We started out talking about manipulation as this kind of sophisticated choreography, and after digging into mimicry, laundering, and endorsement, you really start to see the steps, the coordinated movements.
Yeah, you see the architecture of the dance floor, as it were. And the really stark conclusion from the source material isn't that manipulation is just, some bad actors exploiting loopholes. It's more profound than that.
What's the conclusion?
That manipulation, in its current forms, is actually the optimization of the existing information economy. The system itself, the way it's designed to reward attention and engagement above all else, inherently rewards distortion, truth, accuracy, context. They become externalities. They don't pay the bills in the same way that viral outrage or hype does.
Wow. So the system isn't broken, it's working as designed, but the design prioritizes engagement over truth.
That's the argument.
Yeah.
And the fact that we see foreign states, massive corporations, and individual influencers all converging on similar tactics, mimicry, laundering, endorsement, just confirms it. They've all figured out how to game the same underlying system.
Which leads to that final sobering point,
Yeah.
the market for attention.
Has effectively become a market for belief. People are paying to shake what you believe, using the tools of authority or safety or community or friendship to do it. They're buying slices of your trust, transaction by transaction.
Measurable transactions, as we saw with the lobbying and the crypto payments.
Exactly. And if attention arbitrage, exploiting that gap between the cost of faking belief and the value of controlling attention is the root cause, then the ultimate defense has to start somewhere personal.
Which brings us to our final thought for you, the listener. It's a challenge, really. Given that the market rewards the distortion of attention, what changes do you need to make in your own attention habits? How do you personally value and verify the information you consume?
Now that you can recognize the potential signals of legitimacy mimicry, legitimacy laundering, and undisclosed endorsement, where do you see them in your own feeds? Where is trust being subtly bought and sold in your digital world?
And maybe most importantly, how will knowing this change the value you place on those transactions? Something to think about.
Definitely. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.